Welcome to the Shanghai International Circuit. The sky is blue, there are clouds above. More of that later. This is the final race of the final round of the 2024 Fanatec GT World Challenge Asia, powered by AWS. A typhoon is on its way in. The race has been brought forward by an hour and a half, but looking at the flags around the circuit, they're really beginning to flutter. However, 1 hour of racing ahead of us, and that will define the title for 2024. Track temperature 31 degrees, humidity 68. It feels a little bit more than 68%. The wind, though, is the figure one needs to look at there. 30 degrees air temperature, but we're getting a blow coming in. But I think the action on track will be enough to keep our focus very much what happens over the next hour. This circuit, though, is one that's 20 years old, and it provides many great places for racing and for passing. The first sequence of corners very tight and twisty. The midfield is middle part of the circuit is twisting, but then that long run from turn 13 down to the biggest overtaking point, turn 14, and also a good run out of the final corner, turn 16, definitely can set up passing movers into the first corner. So a great circuit. Lap record 2 minutes 4.316 seconds set last year, but we haven't visited this circuit for 5 years, and yesterday everyone was settling in very nicely indeed, with Alessio Picariello and Anthony Liu, Anthony the defending champion, rising to the top in a race full of drama. So we're all set for the final race. And let's take a look at what happened yesterday. It was a race full of action. Here are the highlights. Let's take a look at the start. Didn't go well for the 22 Climax Racing Mercedes, clattered from behind from the number 13 Porsche and put into the wall. But a great start from James Yu around the outside of Wang Chen, take the lead. And here's a moment where the yellow and red Porsche of Anthony Liu tried to make a move on third place on Frankie Cheng, went out wide, and immediately Bob Yuan jumped through and pushed him back to fifth. A couple of Mercedes decided to run wide into the turn 16 gravel. No damage done other than places lost. And then making the moves, Anthony Liu up the inside, and at that point Bob Yuan thought, oh well, okay, you're committed, but we won't get damage, and I'll just let you have the position at turn 14. A bit of bodywork out on the track, and our championship leader Louvet looked under control, and then suddenly someone got ambitious, and Andre Canard dived up the inside. It looked as though the Ferrari had got away with the Porsche, clearly not. That was damaged back to the pits, but eventually the Ferrari was brought in, and part of the side of the car was no longer attached, so both of those out of the race. Then it was the time for the pit stops, the run through the pits. How was it going to work? Bob Yuan coming to a standstill, Liu Yihong rushing to get into position. The Ferrari was the last to come in, and it went back out into the lead of the race, but Liang Jiatong did not have long in the lead, because all those behind with 1 lap more on their tyres had got the temperature into them. They hunted him down, they passed him in very swift order, and then it was the run towards the finish. And was the Ferrari going to stay in fourth? Nah, fifth. And that was Liu Yihong diving up the inside. Was he going to gain any more positions? This is a moment, unfortunately, there for the 63 Lamborghini Ethan Yang Brown, just getting it slightly wrong, and that led to a full course yellow. But as soon as the field was released, Akash Nandi started to look as though he had things under control, leading the race until that moment. At turn 11 going to turn 12, he ran wide. Alessio Picariello looked as though he was going to finish in second place, but there was the opportunity for first place. That means 25 points. And then in behind, this was very busy. Great defence from Adderley Fong. He really, as they both tried to go around the AMAC Porsche, he just managed to keep the charging Liu Yihong behind him, and that has a real bearing on the championship. There was a 3-point swing that really would have put the top 3 challengers so close. But Alessio Picario picked up the 25 points for victory, making his teammate Anthony Liu very happy indeed. And bringing it home, Anthony Liu greeted him in the pit lane. They've got the points in the bag. They'll have success penalty in the Sunday race, but they have those points. That could be vital. So that victory yesterday put Alessio Picariello and Anthony Liu 6 points clear, but there is an element that we do have to consider. It's success penalties. If you finish in first place, you're going to have a much longer pit stop in the second race. This is the second race. As you can see, if you win, and car number 1 did yesterday, 15 seconds at a standstill, more than the regular minimum pit stop time. 10 seconds for the number 41 Audi for second place yesterday. That was James Yu and Akash Nandi, and the China Cup and Silver Class leaders, car number 36, the Audi of Frankie Cheng and Adderley Fong. That could be a factor, but importantly for the number 1 Porsche, in fact we're riding up the middle of the grid with it right now. They're starting from 3rd on the grid. They've got championship rivals, sorry, 5th on the grid. 4th on the grid is the number 87 Porsche from Origin. That's got Liu Yihong But the other challenger is car number 4, and that's starting back in 9th position. However, neither 87 nor number 4, the 2 Origin Porsches, have got success penalty. Their pit stops to be quicker, so the simple factor is for Alessio Picariello in the number 1 Absolute Racing Porsche, he's just got to move up from 5th to 4th to 3rd, maybe try and take the lead, but he's got to stretch the advantage from the cars that he's fighting with in the championship, because that long extra 15 seconds at the pit stop is going to seem like an eternity. Outside of the front row, Finn Gair sits. He'll be starting the 296 Absolute Corsa Ferrari, but that was a car that was in the wars yesterday, and it took out the championship leader. Unfortunately, Andre Canard, his teammate, got it wrong going into turn 1 and took both of them out of the race. And that was just the point where Wei Lu was looking very, very good indeed. He's running in 6th place. That would have been fine to preserve what had been a 16-point lead. But he comes into the Sunday race here 6 points down rather than 16 ahead. So how things can change. But I really do think these pit stop penalties for the top 3 cars yesterday is going to have a big, big bearing on the championship. I could be wrong. Many a slip between cup and lip. There's Daniel Morad. He had a very good race yesterday. He's starting from 3rd on the grid in the Craft Bamboo Racing number 30 Mercedes. Just look at the flags around the grid. There's a bit of a fluky wind at the moment. It's picking up. Joel Eriksson, another driver who had a very good, strong race yesterday. In fact, so good, that car didn't set a time in qualifying, and it gained a mere 23 positions, riding from 31st to 8th. So that was another of the Stanhouse Drive. And I'm just hearing that one of the Climax Racing Mercedes car number 52 didn't get out of the pits in time. So Lili Chao and Min Heng will be starting from the pit lane. Well, not both of them, one at a time, of course. Right, this is one of the championship challengers. 87 Origin Motorsport Porsche, Leo Yihong Li will be starting. There's Leo, and then he'll be handing over to Bob Yuan. That was right in the battle yesterday, but it's coming into this final race, the 12th race of the 2024 season, in 3rd place. 4 points behind the sister car of yesterday's championship leader until the race, that's Wei Lu. But Anthony Liu and Alessio Picariello will be starting with the points advantage. Packed grid of cars. Dorian Boccolacci's another driver, curly-haired French driver, sharing with Chris Cheer. That had a clatter on the grid, went into the back of the number 22 Climax Racing Mercedes. In fact, both those cars are at the front end of the grid, so in fact Ralph Aron has put the number 22 Mercedes on pole position. But let's go down to the championship leader, Alessio Picariello. We'll be talking to Amy on the grid.
Here with the championship leader, Alessio Picariello, you're starting from this position, but you have a 15-second penalty. What does that mean to you?
Well, before this weekend, to be honest, I wasn't thinking too much about the championship. I just wanted to have a good weekend, trying to find out what was the issue with our car, which we did now. So the weekend is already successful for us. We know that today is going to be very difficult, nearly, to be honest, nearly impossible, I think. But who knows, it's racing and we never know what happens, so we will do our best, but at the end, yeah, we will see.
Enjoy the race and all the best luck.
Well, it's quite a simple position for Alessio. He's just got to absolutely charge. But the point he raised, if you weren't listening yesterday, they've had a chassis problem all season, couldn't work it out. They've brought a new chassis here, and suddenly all is good. But that success penalty in the pits could really hamper them. I would suggest that by the time Anthony Liu takes over and gets out on the track, he'll be behind his championship rivals. But there is a possible sting in the tail. The race has been brought forward by 90 minutes because of an approaching typhoon. There may yet be, the humidity is rising, there may yet be a flurry of rain before the end, but it's the wind that's really concerning people. That is why the race was brought forward. This weekend we've got 3 new cars. They're not in the championship. This is one of them, the number 2 Audi Phantom Global Racing, and Dylan Pereira, multiple Porsche race winner and a previous Porsche Super Cup champion in Europe. He'll be starting that Audi. But let's go down to Lauren Heinrich, car number 4. He's sharing with yesterday's championship leader. That's Lauren Heinrich, but let's hear from him.
Here with Lauren, they had an awful day yesterday, but I hope you recovered well from yesterday. You have to finish in front of the one car.
Yeah, as you said, we have to finish in front of the one car. It was a crazy day yesterday, basically very unlucky in qualifying already, and then in the race getting taken out is not what we want, it's not what we deserve, and not what Wei deserves eventually, because he's fighting for the championship. But I will give my best to support him as best as I can, just see where we end up. He's one of the fastest drivers around here, so I'm looking forward to see him in the second stint.
Have good racing and all the best luck.
Well, that's good positive talk from Lauren Heinrich. He's starting that number 4 Origin Motorsport Porsche from 9th on the grid, but really every driver has a different focus. Those not in the championship battle can just go for the goal of trying to win the race, but it's going to be very, very focused. As he says, he's just got to do one thing, make sure his car, when it's in the hands of his teammate Wei Lu, finishes ahead of the number 1 Porsche. But as we saw yesterday, even getting away from the grid, we had bits of contact and drivers, innocent parties were taken out. But the wind is beginning to pick up. Great camera work, just showing what is blowing in. At 7 o'clock this morning, it was still calm here at the Shanghai International Circuit, but the wind is on its way in. Fingers crossed for all concerned. But I think actually bringing it forward was a very good idea. But look how those flags are waving down there in the wind, almost off their poles. There were supposed to be ceremonial dragons and lions on the grid, but it was deemed too windy for them. Now, here was one of the stars of yesterday. Maxime Houston finished in the top 10 and is starting 10th. But let's go down and hear from a driver who's going to be starting 3rd on the grid. In one of the championship challenges, it's Liu Yihong Li and Bob Yuan. We'll hear from them in a second because they will tell us exactly what they have to do. They're 3rd in the championship, but 4 points behind their sister car number 4, but 10 points fully behind the number 1 Absolute Racing Porsche that Alessio Picariello will be starting for first. But let's go down. Car number 87, Origin Motorsport, and it's the driver who'll be doing the second part of the stint. It's Bob Yuan.
So starting from this position, if you go through with this position, you will be crowned champion. You need to be in front of the number 1 car. Hopefully, and a little bit further, they have to be down. How do you see the situation? What's the tension here?
It's no real tension because the race yesterday race just like this. So we try our best today. Hopefully, we can have a fair race. Then everybody can give some respect and give the good fighting. Then show the performance and show the speed. That's it. So hopefully. Our car and the Lewis car and Noni's car, we can give everybody the good show.
So let's go racing and best luck.
A nice calm approach there from Bob Yuan. His teammate Liu Yihongli is just helmeted up and about to get on board, so slap on the back for him. But the run to the first corner, you have to treat it as first 3 corners, turns 1, 2 and 3. You turn right, you go up the slope, that's turn 1 into 2, then you go over the crest at turn 2. We had lots of overtaking and attempted overtaking. Then, of course, the drivers on the outside are on the inside line for turn 3 as they go down the slope into the compression at turn 3. Quite a lot of action is expected to take place there. Maybe starting on the outside line, I suggest, is the better place to be. Starting an inside line, but 1 position further back down the grid is this car, now the championship leading car, by 7 points and 10 points respectively over the 2 Origin Motorsport Porsches. So Alessio Picariello, at least he now feels he's got the wheels under him that he wanted all season, and they really are pleased the way that new chassis that Absolute Racing has produced for them is working. Quite a few other cars out to play. This is another one that's in for the weekend. From EBM, not counting for points, one of the 3 incoming cars, but a great array of cars. 32 cars on the grid, almost point 31 on the grid, and 1, which is the number 66. Climax Racing Mercedes will be starting from pit lane, but hopefully a full grid. And 1 car we need to look for in the race. It won't happen immediately, but Michael Grenier is starting from final row of the grid. That had a 5-place grid penalty, but qualifying was a bit stop and start, and they got on the wrong side of the equation. So that's a car that can come forward. And bear in mind that yesterday, the number 93 Porsche from Phantom Global Racing, Vudikorn into Fuvasak, the Thai driver, started it, and Joel Eriksson finished the race, and they rose from the final row of the grid 31st to 8th place. So a top 10 finish and points is still absolutely possible for the 888 Mercedes, but it's going to require a lot of focus, good speed, and a nice tidy pit stop. An hour of racing ahead of us. We're starting earlier than planned, but a typhoon is on its way in, so all important. Starting 9th on the grid, the car that was leading the championship yesterday before the race, the number 4 Porsche from Origin Motorsport. Wei Lu will take over the second part, but Lauren Heinrich, very, very impressive young German driver, will be doing the opening stint of the race. And largely in this championship, the second race is when the pro drivers start. So a lot of pro-am combinations. Adderley Fong and Frankie Cheng are leading the China Cup in this number 36 Audi and also the silver category, and they finished right at the front yesterday in 3rd place. So they've had a good season. They won the opening round of the championship, Sepang, outright. Right, the field going around, except for the 296 Ferrari, the outside of the front row. Finn Gersitz has not yet got off the line, and one of the other Ferraris just, now he's got off the line. So that was the car that was a little bit of a torpedo into this corner, the first corner in the race, where teammate Andre Canard just decided to go up the inside and took out Wei Lu, the championship leader. You can see the 66 Mercedes sitting at pit exit, did not get out in time, so it's not to take part. And what we have here is 2 formation laps. The race is 1 hour long, and the clock starts immediately the second formation lap starts. So Ralph Aron, excellent pole position for the Estonian driver alongside Finn Gersitz, if he gets there. Daniel Morad, who really made a charge yesterday for Craft Bamboo Racing, starts thirds, and Liu Yihong Li, the first of the championship challengers, from fourth. Alessio Picariello, now championship leader, but he's got a long pit stop ahead of him. Dorian Boccalacci going better and better for Phantom Global Racing. He starts sixth. Maxi Gertz, let's see what he can do in the second Craft Bamboo Mercedes. And Dylan Pereira, a guest driver this weekend. Lauren Heinrich, the number 4 Porsche, that's second in the championship. Maxi Moosen, the only BMW, starts 10th. Then Adelie Fong leading the Silver and China Cup classes alongside Eduardo Liberati in the first of the Lamborghinis. Then Folgas Motorsport, the Korean team, starts 13, and Yu Kanemaru in the team Gojigan Nissan. Then Akash Nandi finished an excellent second. He starts 15th today with Yuki Nomoto alongside Daniel Liu, another of the guest cars, and Tanat Satyen Sirikul, the second of the Absolute Racing Porsches. Then Yuta Kamimura starts 19th for Porsche Centre Okazaki. Jietiong Liang, the Harmony Racing Ferrari, finished very well yesterday. Hideto Yasuoka for GTO Racing Team, and Christian Colombo, whose teammate David Chiptobian Toro won the AM class yesterday. Not the class, the title. Buang Zhu and Antara Zhao, who'll be driving solo, start 23rd and 24th. Setuan Santoso, another solo driver in his Aston Martin, starts 25th, and Ethan Yang Brown starts alongside. Then Likalu, the third of the solo drivers, and Min Heng for Climax Racing. That will be starting from pit exit. And then Andrew McPherson, AMAC Motorsport, Porsche, and Joel Eriksson look for a charge from the Swede. The final row of the grid, Lua Kalua, a guest Ferrari, and Michael Grenier with that grid penalty look for a charge from the Canadian in the 888 Mercedes. Right, second formation lap, and the sun is shining, but the wind is blowing. And the 296 Ferrari that didn't get away from the outside the front row, just hearing that, will be allowed to resume its position as long as it does it before the end of the second formation. Let's have a look as the cars go through. Yeah, he's got back into the second position. Okay, he's worked his way through. So all that work in qualifying is precisely, hasn't been squandered. So still that number 52 Mercedes for Climax Racing sitting at pit exit. Sorry, I might have said 66 before. It's the number 52 car, Li Li Chao and Min Heng, that will be starting from pit exit. Championship challengers. We're riding with the championship leading car, the car that's third, which is Alessio Picariello's Absolute Racing Porsche. In front is the car that's third in the championship, 10 points down, but with no success penalty to serve at its pit stop. So there's a 15-second margin between those two cars, even if they run at equal speed. There is the car that's second in the championship, the number 4 Origin Motorsport Porsche, starting 9th on the grid. If it wasn't for grid penalties, this would be a little bit of a disaster, but with the grid penalties affecting the car that's leading him in the championship, that number 1 Porsche, you'd have to say the number 4 Porsche and the 87 Porsche, the two cars from Origin Motorsport, are sitting pretty, but as it is, there's a 6-point advantage for Anthony Liu and Alessio Picariello over Lu Wei, and then a further 4 points back to the 87 Porsche. Right, this is the car we're riding on board now, the FAW Audi Sport number 36 entry, and it's a car that started just outside the top 10 today from down in 11th position, but Adelie Fong will kick off, and he was really put on some stout defence yesterday, and then they'll hand over to Frankie Cheng, but they should be able to land the Silver Cup class. They've got a 16-point margin over Satyen Sirikul and Puris, and that should surely be enough. And also they're sitting clear by 11 points in the China Cup category with Bob Yuan and Liu Yi Hongli, who are starting 7 places further ahead on the grid. That should be enough for them, because the margin between first and second in a race is 7 points, and their margin is 11 in the China Cup, so that should sort of be enough for them. But let's see. Warm conditions, air temperature around 30 degrees, track temperatures 31 degrees and rising, wind rising, humidity rising. But it's an hour of racing with a mandatory pit stop in the middle. Let's see how this one shakes out. This is the 12th and final race. Air temperature's gone up a degree in the past 10 minutes or so. Track temperature likewise heading north. Humidity, though, rather encouragingly for those in these warm racing cockpits has dropped down by about 4 percentage points. Wind speed coming from the east. Good to see that person make his way across the track, but down into turn 14, this is the place where most of the overtaking happens, slipstreaming straight down into a right-hand hairpin. 2 by 2, these 32 cars should come. In fact, 31 cars, of course, as I mentioned, the number 52 Climax Racing Mercedes waiting to start from pit exit. But on the front row, it's Ralph Aron, the black and green Mercedes that got almost no distance into race yesterday, clattered from behind on the rolling start, and clearly that was starting around middle grid order. Today it's starting on pole position, and the Ferrari has, I thought, had made it up into its position, but it's not to be seen. So everyone else will be gaining positions up the order. So what we've got is Ralph Aron on pole, and effectively in second place is Daniel Morad, waiting for the lights to go green, an hour ahead of us. But for Liu Yihong Li, instead of having a car in front of him, he is absolutely clear to go where he pleases, waiting for the hold. Again, the middle of the grid bursts away, but it looks so Ralph Aron has got it hooked up. Daniel Morad looks so he's got into second place. So Liu Yihong Li is sweeping out, and Alessio Picariello, he's going to try and go up the inside. He's moved into third place, but importantly for him, now he's into second place. Oh, actually, he'll be going beside himself in the pit lane. Can he hold on to second place? No, Daniel Morad will be on the inside as they come down the slope. Picariello is not taking no for an answer. That was risky. Daniel Morad backed out of it a little bit, and a brilliant start from another of the Craft Bamboo Racing cars with Maxi Gertz. But Ralph Aron has got it all right, and it's certainly all right. This is absolutely what Alessio Picariello had to do for his championship challenge, but it's very, very busy with Daniel Morad really harrying him up into turn 5. Neat and tidy. The two Craft Bamboo Racing Mercedes are tucked in, and then come the two Origin Motorsport Porsches in 5th and 6th positions. So Liu Yihong Li effectively started the race third. He's lost 2 positions, but good news indeed for Lauren Heinrich in the Origin Motorsport number 4 Porsche. He has gained effectively 2 positions, but they're both going to be looking at whether the yellow and red Porsche of Alessio Picariello is getting the pull clear. He's got up into second place. Daniel Morad's right on his tail, but Ralph Aron for the moment is leading the race. But the job that Picariello had to do was put as many places as he could between his car, the yellow and red Porsche, and the green and white Porsche, which is running 5th in the queue, and the metallic purple one that's tucked in behind in 6th. And he's getting clear of Daniel Morad. If he can go off after Ralph Aron, this will be giving his teammate Anthony Liu a chance of making it 2 championship titles in 2 years. But there is a lot of racing between now and the end of the hour. But really, the Belgian pushed very, very hard. 5th at the start of the race. Finn Gersitz did not get away where he wanted to from the outside of the front row. Place gained. Liu Yihong Li has picked off Maxi Gertz, and the purple car is having a look as well, almost rubbing through the final corner onto the start-finish straight. Dorian Boccolacci tucked in behind. This is the view through the windscreen of Lauren Heinrich's Porsche. He wants to get past the 88 Mercedes, hasn't managed it. His teammates got past Maxi Gertz, but that's not happening into turn 1. If he's not too careful, Dorian Boccolacci, the blue Porsche, will make a move. As it stands, and now a 16-point advantage for the number 1 Porsche, but just remember that's got to serve an extra 15 seconds at its pit stop, and it's competitive enough surely in this race that would bring it out behind its championship rivals, meaning Anthony Liu in the second half of the race is going to have to pick them off all over again. So Lauren Heinrich in the purple Porsche number 4, taking a look at the tail end of the Mercedes of German compatriot Maxi Gertz, just all along not wanting Anthony Liu's car in the hands of Alessio Picariello to pull further clear. It's running in second place, still behind Ralph Aron. At this early stage in the race, looks like Lauren Heinrich is just settling in, but I really would expect him to get on the tail of Maxi Gertz. At the moment, he's now starting to be harried, more pressure coming from behind. Right, the second time out of turn 10. Tell you what, while they're doing this, let's go back to the start. It was very clean. It was missing Finn Gersitz's Ferrari that should have been starting the outside the front row. Remember, that didn't get away from the grid at the first time of advancing. Oh, and at the very back of the grid, it's a very tight corner. Unfortunately, one of the cars, the number 52 car, that had popped out after the end of the first formation lap to get to the back of the pack. And we had cars coming to a halt. It looks like the AMAC Motorsport car. There's Finn Gersitz's car. It's dived into the pits because it had worked its way to the front of the queue. That's gone into the pits. But anyhow, it was a fantastic start from Ralph Aron. This is the view from the front, but a bit of a schmozzle, as they say, at the tail end of the grid as they came around the corner, with Daniel Morad grabbing second place. But look at the move up the inside. As Daniel Morad blocked across the nose of Liu Yihong Li. Alessio Picariello dived up the inside into turn 1, held second place out of turn 2 and just resisted on the slope down to turn 3, with Murad getting very close. Murad is still close. Ralph Aron, who's had an up and down season, but he's driven increasingly well, took pole position. He's a second clear now. What else is changing? What isn't changing? Okay, we've got a bit of a move coming up. Dylan Pereira in the bright pink Audi is gaining places. It's a car that doesn't count for points, the number 2 Audi, because it's just joined the championship for this final round. Maxi Moose and BMW in this battle for 10th place. Nice, neat and tidy right on the tail of the number 500 team, Gojigan Nissan, with Yu Kanemaru at the wheel. Right, what's going to happen? We're just going to see over the next 2 laps if Lauren Heinrich can get level and get past the number 88 Mercedes. Right the way down the order. This is just the tail end of the top 10. This is fighting over 9th and 10th positions. It's still very, very tight indeed. But I think it's interesting. Some of the pro drivers are starting to make moves that could slightly interrupt the championship battle. Dylan Pereira in the number 2 Audi. Normally, you normally say Dylan Pereira Porsche. He's a Porsche Super Cup champion, but he's come over here and he's getting good taste of the circuit. And looking at the sectors, we have them split. He's in the twisty part of the circuit from turn 5 down to just when you go out of turn 13. This Audi is the quickest so far, and he's all over the tail of Dorian Boccolacci. However, these cars, one won't score points because it's not eligible. That's the pink Porsche. Number 13, sorry, the pink Audi, the blue and gold Porsche can score points, but it's how they interrupt the championship challenges. All the challenges are ahead of them, but not by a great deal. Right, down the back straight we go, down from turn 13 to turn 14, and it still looks so it's about a second margin that Ralph Aron has in his Climax Racing Mercedes. But here comes a challenge from Daniel Murad up the inside. He used the slipstream, got up and past Alessio Picariello, and Liu Yihong Li has closed right in. All he has to do, Liu Yihong Li, if he can get his car up into 3rd place or more point, up ahead of this number 1 Porsche, that is good. And this is not what Absolute Racing and Anthony Liu wanted. Having had the brilliant start from 5th up to 2nd on the opening lap, Alessio Picariello, I thought he was going to go away, but what's happened, Daniel Murad has really hooked up that Craft Bamboo Racing Mercedes, not only caught him by using the slipstream on that long back straight, but he's got ahead, and position is absolutely everything for this number 1 crew. Leading the championship, but they know when they come to their mandatory pit stop, there's a minimum time, and then those top 3 finishers from yesterday, they get extra time added to their pit stop. They've got 15 seconds extra added to their pit stop. If you added 15 seconds to their position at the moment, it would put them down in 21st position. That's how tight it is. 4 laps on the board, and in fact the top down to position number 26, you're covered by the first 20 seconds in the race. So, however, of course, the field will string out as it goes, and Ralph Aron is streaking clear. He's just banged in the fastest lap of the race. He's best part of 2 seconds clear. But the main question mark here is the car that's running 3rd, the number 1 Porsche, is leading the championship. The car that is running 4th is 3rd in the championship, 10 points down, but that does not have any success penalty. Go back 2 places further to the purple Porsche, the number 4 car Lauren Heinrich is driving in. That is 2nd in the championship. Just got to keep chipping away. It's 6 points down on the championship leading car, but that too does not have to have any extra time at its pit stop. So right now, Alessio Picariello really needs to stretch his margin of time on the track as well as positions, but if he can get Daniel Murad back behind him and move back up into 2nd place, then, just then, might he build enough seconds so this pit stop isn't going to really, really clobber them. But at the moment, Daniel Murad not only passed him last lap, but actually it does really seem that in a straight line, Alessio Picariello looks like he's about to lose a position to Liu Yihong Li. Have they got a problem? But in a straight line, his Porsche just doesn't seem to be a match of the rivals. 1, 2, 3. I think he has lost that position. See to swing around and see the cars coming down the start-finish straight. Very, very busy in behind. But last lap, Picariello went from 2nd to 3rd, and I sense, yeah, Liu Yihong Li did jump him, and now Maxi Goetz is having a look. So what is wrong with Picariello's car? Did it have a little bit of a push and a shove in the first couple of corners? Potentially. And I almost think that it might have had a little bit of a rub as it dropped down into turn 3 on the opening lap from Daniel Murad. But at the moment, this car does not have the pace of its rivals. So having thought he'd done a remarkable job, Picariello is suddenly going in reverse. And that means that the car's moved up past him. The number 87 Porsche with Liu Yihong Li is suddenly thinking, hey, you know, maybe we could win the title here this weekend. But all along, 2 cars further back, the purple Porsche, the Lauren Heinrich, they are now in the box seats, as you say, in the USA. Suddenly looking good for them. First lap, the first lap and a half, it looked very good for Picariello. Still knew he had to not only keep them behind him, had to stretch an advantage, build some time that would suck up some of the deficit they'll have when they have their extra long pit stop. But it does also mean that for his teammate Anthony Liu, it means every lap that he's going to do in the second half of the race when he's taken over has got to be like a qualifying lap. He's got to wring that car's neck. At the moment, not only has Liu Yihong-Li got past in the number 87 Origin Motorsport Porsche, but the number 1 Porsche behind it is already losing ground, dropping back onto the nose of Maxi Goetz's Craft Bamboo Racing Mercedes. And the simple fact he's only got about a second and a half advantage over the number 4 Porsche of Lauren Heinrich means that those 15 seconds of the pit stop are absolutely going to cost them big time. But let's talk about the Mercedes at the front of the field. Climax Racing and Craft Bamboo. It's Ralph Aron ahead of Daniel Morad. Daniel's just set the fastest lap of the race and has closed the deficit. Dorian Boccolacci has just applied a fly to the ointment, however, of Lauren Heinrich. The blue Porsche's gone past the purple one. More to the point, the purple one was the championship leader for yesterday's race, but Joel Eriksson was just brilliant. Sorry, the Dorian Boccolacci, that's the sister car of Joel Eriksson, hooked it up. And it's interesting, the championship challengers, there's a little bit of caution after the opening lap, and if someone's really going to challenge them, they're not going to risk being clattered into. Bear in mind the number 4 Porsche got taken out of the race at turn 1 yesterday, and suddenly their 16-point margin became a deficit as the rivals continued and scored points. So Lauren Heinrich, there he is, being pushed and shoved by a car that's not even eligible for points, because the pink Audi of Dylan Pereira, he's got to be thinking, well, maybe I should just let him go by. All I've got to think about is my time deficit to the number 1 Porsche. Keep it in sight, but don't risk any damage. And at the moment, maybe that's why Dorian Boccolacci got by without trouble. But then, Dylan Pereira over the curves into turn 5. That could have been very awkward indeed. To be taken out 2 days running would be the worst of luck. But for now, Lauren Heinrich hangs on. But it was a little bit heart in mouth, it must be said. I mean, you can overtake into turn 5. Right, as it stands overall, in their current position, which is now 4th, 135 points for Alessio Picariello and teammate Anthony Liu, and Liu Yihong-Li and Bob Yuan, by moving up into 3rd on the track at the moment, are now 2nd in the championship, just 7 points down, and they don't have any extra time at their pit stop. I know I keep mentioning it, but it's such a massive element in this race. In any race, it's a very, very much a feature. Before yesterday's race, we'd had 9 different winners across the 10 races over the initial 5 rounds of this championship. With the success penalty for finishing 1st, 2nd or 3rd, it's almost insurmountable. Not entirely, but, you know, the championship, Fanatec GT Asia, is so competitive. You know, you have an extra 15 seconds, you're going to be lucky to get in the top 10. However, it can happen, but is there going to be another challenge? Maxi Goetz taking a look at Alessio Picariello, and again the field is really starting to bunch up behind Picariello. There is something that's not entirely right with his car, I would suggest, and the rivals, I'm talking small increments, but this is the car, the new chassis that Absolute Racing brought for them here this weekend, and it seemed to have cured all their woes and concerns. You know, earlier in the season, Lauren Heinrich is down a position, and then he dropped his wheels into the gravel at turn 16, so he's got, you know, there are still elements that just keep cropping up. But the good news now for Heinrich, now, at the moment, car 4 in its current position, you can't count the positions at the moment, but I tell you what, by dropping down to 8th place, puts him now 14 points down in the championship. But all you need to do is just see, as long as the driver of car 4 in the first half of the race, it's going to be this driver, Lauren Heinrich, he'll hand over to Wei Lu, as long as it can see the yellow and red Porsche within its sight, i.e. close enough to be, let's say, 5, maximum 10 seconds behind, that's fine, because it's not having any success penalty at its pit stop, so it can come in behind the number 1 Porsche and know that it will pull out ahead, and then effectively the last half hour or 25 minutes of the season will be about trying to keep itself ahead. Yet, he's also got to consider what's happening with the sister car, because that's in 3rd place, the number 87 Origin Motorsport Porsche with Liu Yihong-Li. It's about 3 and a bit seconds down on Daniel Morad. Those 2 Mercedes are pulled clear. But it's about keeping your rivals in your sight. And I tell you what, for most of the cars on this track, it's about keeping that pink Audi behind, because Dylan Pereira is just seems to have an ambition to overtake everyone in the race. This car is entered by Phantom Global Racing, and the car it's overtaking is one of the Phantom Global Racing's regular series cars, and Dorian Boccolacci is being given short shrift by Dylan Pereira, who's clearly putting out a marker saying, you know, I quite fancy racing this championship next year. This is what I can do. What he can do is spectacular. But for now, it's what the Mercedes are doing first and second in the race. Ralph Aron, Daniel Morad. Looks so there's less than a second between them. We're going to have another place. Oh, chop and change. At this point in the race, I think Lauren Heinrich's thinking, well, whatever you're doing in front of him, I may get a place back. And so he has, because Dorian Boccolacci pushed wide there by the very feisty Dylan Pereira. Oh, and another wheel very nearly dropped. Pereira nearly blew it out of turn 16. Gathers it together. Back up a position, so fleetingly down to 8th and now back up to 7th for Lauren Heinrich in that number 4 Origin Motorsport Porsche. Yeah, the gap is under a second between first and second. Daniel Morad, 9/10 of a second now down on race leader Ralph Aron. So for the moment, Ralph Aron looks okay in the lead and may be able to hand over to Wang Zhongwei in the second of the half of the race in the lead. And what we tend to do with the Pro-Am pairings, when the pit window opens, it's open for 10 minutes, but most of the pros, almost all the pros are starting the race, so they naturally stay out as long as they can, and you get the final flurry. They work out when's the last lap they can come in before the pit window closes. They dive in, and that's the point where the 3 cars that finished in the top 3 yesterday will have all that success penalty. Look in the background of the shot, the Maxi Moussen's BMW, then you Kanemaru's Nissan. This is at the tail of the top 10, and then everybody else, I think you can say, et al. 2 of the cars that finished 2nd and 3rd yesterday, here we have them. 36, which is going very nicely at the moment in the hands of Adderley Fong and Akash Nandi. I think they've actually just changed places, yes, because 41 was ahead of 36 last lap, but qualifying was very jumbled up because there were stoppages for race 1, but this was more of a representative grid, but there they are, right in the middle of the action. Joel Eriksson tucked in behind in that number 93 Phantom Global Racing Porsche, and it suddenly looks so that this lap and the last one haven't been the best for Akash Nandi, but he very nearly won yesterday's race, slid slightly wide, and that allowed Alessio Picariello to pull through and take the victory. The 25 points plus the 15 seconds, and it's up and down, it's back and forth. Dorian Boccolacci down the inside of Lauren Heinrich. Was the contact there? It was certainly very, very close indeed. So great battling. Meanwhile, though, Picariello just doesn't have the answer. He's holding on to 4th position. Here we are, and if it finishes as it stands, that's the margin. Still a comfortable margin in terms of points, but that's a long pit stop. Look at how many cars are on the start-finish straight. So if you've got a 15-second extra added to your pit stop, all of those cars that we just saw in that shot would come past you. You'd be outside the top 10, you'd be lucky to be in the top 15, and that is effectively what championship leader, defending champion Antin Liu will have in his mind. So any 10th of a second here or there could just give them a helping hand, but as Alessio Picariello said when he was interviewed by Mizawa down on the grid, it's not impossible, but you know, it's a massive ask, and he's taking sucker from the fact that they've got the car handling as they want it right now. Oh, the full gas Porsche on the outside, Akash Nandi being monstered. One of the guest cars, 321, pushing on with great gusto, and when you Liu at the wheel at the moment. Gosh, there's some good racing down in the pack. It's great to be back at the Shanghai International Circuit. It just gives them a fabulous playing field, and there's enough width on the track to allow alternate lines, but for a lot of them it's about getting a brilliant exit from turn 13, catching a slipstream or a good toe down the straight and making a move down into the hairpin at its end. This is turn 10, and just look how many cars. Just think about the time. You count 15 seconds, which is what the championship leading Porsche will have to serve extra to all of the pit stop time for these cars, and just imagine how many of those are going to be coming past. Fastest lap of the race for the driver in second place, very nearly on the tail of race leader Daniel Morad, 2 minutes, 0.2 seconds on the nose. He's 7/10 of a second down on the start finish line. Looks to be there or thereabouts, maybe down to half a second. The 2 Mercedes, first and second, sweep over the line. Interesting there, in the silver class, the number 77 Ferrari that finished very well yesterday in I think 5th position in the end. Again, looking very good in terms of lap speed today, so they'll be pleased with their weekend. But overall, yeah, fastest lap. Interesting, the cars in 2nd and 3rd position faster than Ralph Aron by small margins, but Aron there, number 22, hangs on. Hangs on, leading the race. Wang Zhongwei will take over from him. He's getting suited and booted, ready for the second half, but We came here with Porsche in all the power positions in the championship, but clearly in this track the Mercedes was starting to come good. Yesterday we had 2 Audis and a Porsche, or a Porsche then 2 Audis in the top 3 positions, but today with a jumble grid, a different order, Mercedes have really done very well indeed. In the early part of the lap, Ralph Aron appears to pull away from Daniel Morad, but Morad gets close enough. At the next couple of corners, out of turn 10 they come, up to turn 11, they turn left and they start turning right. And importantly for Ralph Aron on this lap, he's got a bit of a margin, and it means he hopefully, from his point of view, will not be providing a tow to the chasing Daniel Morad. Daniel was fastest last time around, and the opening part of this lap, absolutely nothing to separate them. But in fact, suddenly, actually, the second of the 3 timing sectors, just the fastest time anybody set through that is what Ralph Aron has just achieved. So he should be able to open his margin down that long run from 13 to 14, down to the right-hand hairpin. And it should just give himself a bit of breathing space. But even down to about 20th position, almost no driver has breathing space. They're hunting in packs, side by side. In fact, a Ferrari going right out towards the edge of the circuit. Just rejoins, it's one down towards, it was Liang Jiatong down, just almost in, just completing. I'll tell you what, he's just ahead of the Triple Eight Mercedes, Michael Grenier, who started stone last and has gained 12 positions so far. Drivers are lined up at the Climax Racing Garage, waiting to have their turn. Right, Daniel Morad, yeah, he did lose a bit of time. He's 0.8 of a second down from race leader Ralph Aron. Now, one of the cars in that little grouping has got loose bodywork at the tail. Most places gained, Joel Eriksson, but he did 23. Well, that car, his car did 23 places yesterday. That's picking its way up the order. It's the number 93 Porsche. He's getting onto the tail as he works up of Adderley Fong. Yeah, so he's sporting not how he leaves the showroom or the Phantom Global Racing Garage. So his teammate Vutagorn Intrafuvasak is going to have a car that possibly feels a little bit offering him some handling he doesn't want, but certainly Joel Eriksson's making it go very well up into 13th place. And these 2 Mercedes in the lead of the race, first and second, Ralph Aron, Daniel Morad. The gap behind them is 4.5 seconds. The next car that's not even really in shot. So the next car in line is one of the championship challenging cars, Liu Yi Hong Li, and he's nearly 4.5 seconds. There, he's just in the background of the shot. Green and white Porsche, and Alessio Picariello still holding on to 4th place. He's nearly 3 seconds behind him. But if I add 15 seconds, I have to keep adding 15 seconds to Alessio Picariello's time. That would take him to just outside the top 10, about 14th position by the time the pit stops are served. So the yellow and red Porsche still leading the championship. Halfway down the back straight, the 2 Mercedes of Ralph Aron and Daniel Morad come down in 1st and 2nd positions. Then Liu Yi Hong Li, then Alessio Picariello. But the pit window is now open, and I'm sure Alessio will stay out as long as he can. But it's all going to be about track position as well. How many cars will come in? AMAC Motorsport Porsche, first one to come into the pits. So Andrew McPherson is going to bail out of that. Ben Porter will get on board. No takers from our front runner, Porsche Center Okazaki. Oh no, sorry, that was the nose of the AMAC Motorsport Porsche coming into the pit lane. Now, 888 Mercedes, that's one that's just gained another position because the car in front of it is pulled into the pit, so it should be getting towards about 15th place there for Michael Grenier. But in comes 41. This is the car that finished 2nd yesterday, Akash Nandi, bringing it in, and then he'll hand it over to a driver who did a remarkable job in the early stage of the race, James Yu. Adderley Fong also in at the pit lane. So the early pit stoppers, Likaloo is in the number 3 Mercedes, entered by Elegant Racing, but he will not hand over because he's one of 3 drivers driving solos. He does the entirety of the hour. A lot of drivers actually just doing their best lap last time around, and for all these crews, hopefully it'll be their last pit stop of the season. Ralph Aron, Daniel Morad, separated by 0.6 of a second, nearly best part of 5 seconds clear now of Liu Yi Hong Li. But for Origin Motorsport, Liu Yi has done a very, very good job. He's got a 4-point deficit before the start of this race to the sister car, the number 4. He's running 3rd. The sister car, Lauren Heinrich, is running in 8th place. We can do some maths later. I'm sure we'll be doing lots of maths later, but I'd say that Lauren Heinrich has done a good job of defending his position. Certainly didn't want to pick up any damage. And as it stands, there is a 7-point margin between 1 and 87, and 1 is Alessio Picariello in 4th, and Liu Yihong Li is in 3rd place in 87. But Liu Yihong Li does not have any success penalties, so his pit stop will be the mandatory minimum time. We had a couple of cars yesterday that did just under the minimum time, and they had to come and serve. If they were a second under the time, they had to come and stop for a second and go out. You can imagine with the in and the out of the pits, that is an absolute disaster. So yesterday's second place car blasts away. James Yu taking the number 41 Audi back out onto the circuit. Now, this is interesting because suddenly we've got the cars that have made their pit stops coming out just in front on the track of the race leading Mercedes. So I reckon they don't want it to interrupt. That's a quick car in front of them, so it shouldn't hold them up too much, but it takes a few corners to get the tyres up to operational temperature, and right now that Ralph Aron's thinking, please get out of my way, I'm quicker, I'm flashing my lights, but a few more corners, the heat will be into those tyres. And Frankie Cheng, well actually he's wise, he's pulled out of the way, but that's just slightly hampered our race leader, Ralph Aron. But now it's actually going to hamper Daniel Morad, because I think Frankie Cheng has got the heat into his tyres now, will be no slower than the Mercedes behind him. So suddenly for Climax Racing, it's the first bit of breathing space they've had since the opening few laps, when they had a slight margin. It came down and down, and Daniel Morad, who's very busy in the opening laps of the race, oh, this isn't what he wants. He's just going to press, but that has interrupted his flow in that number 30 Craft Bamboo Racing car. Handing over to Cao Chi coming up soon. Cao Chi will be out, getting ready to take over, but for Ralph Aron, that was an absolute gift. You can see his margin has gone out. It was 7/10 of a second on the start-finish line. It's over a second now, and it also means there's no tow that he's providing for Daniel Morad this time. So that should certainly stretch his margin. The car that started from pit exit actually moved onto the rear of the grid for the second formation lap once the clock had counted through. Antares Au on board this weekend to drive the number 40 Audi, all on his own. Marcus Winkelhock was supposed to race with him, but Marcus unwell, so couldn't race, so he's one of the trio of solo drivers. Right, what's going to happen? Ralph Aron surely will stay as long as he can before he dives in. Has to try and get in before the pit window closes. Daniel Morad getting the right rear wheels into the gravel. That slightly delayed him at the start of the start-finish straight. Will lose a bit of momentum. Gap's gone out to 1.3 seconds. Alessio Picariello still with the championship lead. 7 points at the moment as they run, as they stand. This is the car in which David Chiptabiran, he's waiting to take it over from Christian Colombo, but he landed the championship title yesterday, running in the lead of the AM class again today. So cars still entering the pits, still with the pit window open, still waiting for the front runners to come. None of the top 20 on the track. No, in fact, in fairness, number 40 car dived in for Antares Au. That was around 20th, but really of those that have pitted, they're not yet working their way up the order. And the pros pressing on as long as they can. We've got 29 minutes remaining. We've got about 4 minutes to dive in. So I think at the end of this lap, we'll have some coming in just enough time for those, I think, to come in next time around. Keep an eye on the clocks. Bear in mind, the best lap in the race is almost bang on 2 minutes. So I think simple maths would dictate at the end of this lap would be good, but you should just be able to squeak in one more lap to get in before the pit window closes. So Alessio Picariello, championship leader, but with the long pit stop to come, being chased by Maxi Goetz. Was a point in the race where Maxi Goetz looked as though he's going to move up into 4th place. It hasn't happened. And bear in mind, Picariello started 5th on the grid. The 296 Ferrari didn't get away, and that pulled into the pits. That meant he was starting 4th on the grid. He got up to 2nd on the track and then lost 2 of those positions. All the hard work was undone because down the long run from turn 13 to the hairpin at 14 just didn't seem to have the pace. First Daniel Morad picked him off, then Liu Yihong Li did likewise. First few cars running through, 1, 2, 3, that's the first 6 positions going through with Dylan Pereira in the pink Audi in the background. Championship leader Alessio Picariello, the yellow and red Porsche from Absolute Racing. Maxi Goetz still behind by just 0.4 of a second, but not quite close enough to challenge him. And again, when you get cars exiting from their pit stops, it can interrupt their flows. They'll be very glad their gaggle of cars just got past. I think it was one of the Climax Racing Mercedes was coming back out onto the track. And as we saw when Frankie Cheng pulled onto the circuit after his pit stop, it was potentially, it slightly interrupted the top two runners, but they've sort of settled down again. The gap between Ralph Aron and Daniel Morad, it had been down to about 0.4 of a second. It's 0.87 of a second between the first two now. There's that number 36 Audi, Frankie Cheng at the wheel. It's the first two cars have got past it since it came out from its pit stop, and now is he delaying Liu Yihongli? Don't know. Liu Yihongli would be rather having clear track, which for what is probably his last lap before he dives into the pit stop. This is the car that started the green and white Porsche started this final race of the 2024 Fanatec Asia season in third position in the championship, but at the moment is sitting in second in the championship. And the sister car a little bit further back, Lauren Heinrich at the wheel, is back by a further sort of 7 seconds. So they were only 4 points separated between them, so it could be that after that incident yesterday where Wei Lu was taken out when leading the championship and sitting happily in 6th place in the race, that maybe has had the bearing that it will end up as the second of the Origin Motorsport Porsches in the championship. They could end up first and second, but it could be Liu Yi and teammate Bob Yuan who take the title. Ifs and buts and maybes, but we're going to see, and we're going to have absolute visual of how long, as the front runners come in, as predicted, the last moment they could do so surely before the pit window closed. And in the background we will probably see Liu Yihongli diving into the pits. Certainly an SRO Picariello from 4th place, Maxi Goetz from 5th, and Dylan Pereira from 6th. Yeah, everybody on cue is coming in, but bear in mind that red and yellow number 1 Porsche is going to have to sit at its pits for an extra 15 seconds. The real question is how many other cars go past, how fast Anthony Liu can drive in the second part of this 1 hour race. He'll get out with about 23 minutes remaining. There is Anthony Liu standing, waiting, just plotting. He wants to get everything right. He's going to have plenty of time to get in the car, but it's about how fast he can drive it. Once Alessio Picariello brings it in, hands it over, then he heads out. But 15 seconds will feel like an eternity. That's the price of taking victory yesterday. I did debate, was it actually better to finish second and get only 10 seconds at a pit stop? Then you'd have squandered 7 points on. You know, it's maths, it's whichever way you want to do it. Fastest lap of the race set a short while ago, Daniel Morad. 2 minutes. He actually improved on his best lap of the race by 5/1000ths of a second in the number 30 Graf Bamboo Racing Mercedes. And let's see what his teammate can do when it goes back out of the track, and Tao Chi will take it over. There's Alessio Picario, brilliant start from 5th, effectively 4th, up to 2nd. Then he just couldn't resist Daniel Morad and Liu Yihongli, but he did all he could. What he was really hoping for, having got into 2nd, was to get on the tail of the number 22 Climax Racing Mercedes that's come out. And well, that's interesting. The car that came in from 1st position is being tailed by one of the Craft Bamboo cars. I'm trying to work out, look at it, it's the car that Maxi Goetz started, number 88, which he's sharing with Jeffrey Lee. Has he come out the pit lane? But Bob Yuan's come out. This could be the championship winning car, an 87 green and white Porsche, because still in the background, still waiting for the yellow and red Porsche to come into view. Yesterday's championship leader before the race, the number 4 Porsche's come out, so both of the Origin Motorsport cars, and there was a clatter in the pit lane, and potentially to have another 2 cars hit. But look how Anthony Liu dived out, got into a gap in the pit lane, but certainly a couple of cars. Yeah, the Porsche Center Okazaki car has hit the back of the GT Racing. 18 has hit 14, or maybe 14 went across the nose of 18, and that's going to be a real problem. Oh dear me, that's really, really unfortunate for the parties concerned there. But it just goes to show all the cars coming in so close together, trying to go out at the same time. But those extra 15 seconds at the pit stop will have really, really hurt Anthony Liu. Alessio Picario could doing all he could, and as soon as he got in the car, look how Wei Lu is absolutely flying in that purple Porsche, number 4. He's right on the tail of the number 13 Porsche from Chris Cheer. In terms of performance, he's the quicker driver at the background, and the number 2 Audi that was driven so well by Dylan Pereira, Hubo is not going to be able to match the pace, and well, there we go. Wei Lu's not waiting for a second invitation past Chris Cheer. So championship points are changing all the time. So his car was 8th when Lauren Heinrich brought it in. He's already probably gained a place, well, definitely 1 place over Anthony Liu, whose car is right in the background of that shot as they go up into turn 11. Anthony Liu's car was in the background. Those extra 15 seconds put him about 7 or 8 seconds behind. But the green and white Porsche, well, these are 2 cars that were 1st and 2nd before their pit stops. In fact, it was a mistaken identity for me, of course. The Craft Bamboo car I saw was the car at number 30 car, so they're as they were before. But if anything, number 30 is closer than it was at the closest point in the race. So suddenly, change of drivers in these two cars. Number 22 that led the race in the hand from pole position, Wang Zhongwei in the lead, but being pushed very, very hard indeed by Tao Chi. And in the background, the car that was third before the pit stop, I would suggest it's about the same position behind, but I really think Bob Yuan will be quicker than either of these two. So suddenly the car that started this morning third in the championship is third on the track at the moment. That is excellent. That would give them 15 points. Will their rivals, how many points will their rivals score? There was a 10-point spread between first and third. And I think at the end of this lap, when all the cars have served their pit stops, the order will have Anthony Liu down in 9th position, potentially 8th, but he's got to start overtaking. Number 4 is up into 5th position. Okay, how close would you like your championship to be on this outlap for all of these drivers after the pit stop? The 87 Porsche that's running third on the track with Bob Yuan has 128 points in the bag. There it is, the background of the shot, really catching those two Mercedes as I thought it would. But the two championship rivals, the number 4 sister car from Origin Motorsport has 127 points. Guess how many Anthony Liu has? He's not in their shot yet, but he's got 127 as well. We've got 128 plays, 127. But as we look, 1 place gained, and that second place, if he finishes in that position, but I think this Bob Yuan's going to win, he will move into the lead of the championship. Well, he's in the lead now by 1 point, but he's just gained another 3 points in that move, so he's suddenly gone 4 points clear. So it's going to chop and change. And just hearing that one of the cars has picked up a 5-second penalty. It was number 14 Porsche. Remember, we had 2 cars clashing in the pit lane, and Hideto Yasuoka unfortunately hit Porsche Zenta Okazaki's car with Yuta Kamimura. We saw the front end of that hanging off, and Bob Yuan, I didn't think he'd take long to get in the lead. Well, he hasn't hung around, but you know what, he's had the lead fleetingly and then lost it. What he doesn't want to do right now is damage. He didn't want Wang Zhongwei going across his nose like that. He's got the speed, he's just got to have a little bit of patience. He's got the pace to take the lead from the Climax Racing Mercedes, quite possibly into turn 1, but wherever he passes, he doesn't want to put his green and white Origin Motorsport Porsche in a position of peril. If it's not right here, you've got time. Wait, you can do it down the back straight, but maybe today is now. But cutting up the inside line, getting dust on his tyres, it's going to be trouble to turn at the top of the hill. Actually, more to the point, when he goes to the bottom of the hill to turn 3, he'll need and he's cutting every corner he can. I think Bob Yuan just got to be aware he's got 20 minutes on the nose remaining in this race. He's got the pace to take the lead of the race. And actually, the simplest thing from his point of view, he could sit here and win the championship. But I think he's just trying to win the race as well. His team, Origin Motorsport, needs to be on the radio saying, keep it cool, keep it calm, you've got the pace. Your rivals are sitting in 4th place, which is Wei Lu, and number 1, Anthony Liu, is down in 9th position. He's got to go past the lone BMW in the race, and he's got the hardest, the hardest challenge of all in this race. So as it stands, the number 87 Porsche, 131 points, now 2 points clear of Wei Lu. And at the moment, Anthony Liu in the number 1 Porsche that Alessio Picariello started is out of the picture. Certainly the picture there as we look at the top 3 cars. Still Climax Racing. Every lap of the race has been led by this green and black Mercedes. He slipped wide at turn 12, and there goes the lead. And then I would expect onto the back straight, unless it's got a really good toe, which it may well do. He may fight back, so it's up and down, but Origin Motorsport could be finishing 1st and 2nd in the championship. Just seeing Liu Yihong Li enjoying sitting in one of the deck chairs. The sister car, the purple car, is in the background of the shot, but it's got company because Chris Chia has not really been dropped by Wei Lu. But that was a really important couple of corners for Bob Yuan. He's taken the lead of the race, and he's managed to resist either of the drivers, either of those Mercedes getting a good enough toe down the back straight, and as he goes through turn 16 into the lead to lead a lap for the first time in this race, and he's going to be 5-6 tenths, very nearly a second clear, so he's already got the pace, he's pulling away. It looks as though the Climax Racing and Craft Bamboo Racing entries, Wang Zhongwei and Tao Chi, are going to have their own scrap for the rest of the race. It may allow Wei Lu to catch, but he's a fully 12 seconds further back in 4th place. They ought to be safe. We've got under 18 minutes to remain in the race. So these could be the 3 cars on our podium, and I would suggest the drivers heading for the top step. Bob Yuan at the wheel at the moment, and Liu Yihong Li sitting happily smiling in the Origin Motorsport pit garage. going to be the drivers who will be holding the championship trophy for the 24 Fanatec GT Asia. However, there is still time. But the big question is, how much progress can Anthony Liu achieve? Well, he just picked up one position. He's gone from up into 8th from 9th. His next target is Jeffrey Lee. He should pick him off, I think, on this lap. So we'll have to see what he's going to do with the number 88 Craft Bamboo Racing Mercedes. The rest of this race, as I said, for Anthony Liu, it's got to be everyone like a qualifying lap. He's just got to attack, and see if he can get back in the mix. But at the moment, those extra 15 seconds in that pit stop have cost them big time. Back markers could have a role to play. There's Setia Juan Santoso's Aston Martin. Didn't interrupt the race leader. Maybe slightly is going to interrupt the Mercedes. Wei Lu coming through the corner in the background of the shot, out of turn 10. But as it stands, there are other categories to go for as well. There's the Pro-Am Championship, and Anthony Liu and D'Alessio Picariello led that today, coming in today's race by 14 points from Wei Lu. As it stands, they'll win that title. But one just needs to see, ahead of this gaggle of cars, the yellow and red Porsche, Anthony Liu, I would expect on this lap to gain a position. It's just in the group ahead of that. That's Hirabon in the blue Nissan in 9th place. Anthony Liu, yeah, he's hunting down the BMW now of Kunfan Ruan, which is holding down 6th. Jeffrey Lee in 7th. He should be able to pick up at least one of those, I'd suggest, on this lap. So every lap towards the end of the race, I think Anthony Liu should be able to gain a position. But once he's got past Jeffrey Lee, no, they're a distance behind the BMW actually, so I think he'll get up to 7th place, and that might be as far as he goes. But Anthony Liu, knowing the man, he will not stop until he gets to the very end of the race, and maybe, just maybe, he can make it 2 titles in a row. So difficult to do. Let's take a look. Race division powered by AWS. The average speed, well, of course, it's our race leader who's leading on that chart from the driver in 2nd and 3rd. That's a fairly simple concept to take there. Really impressive Chris Cheer in this race, holding down 5th place, sticking with Wei Lu, and Wei is very, very quick, particularly around here. So that's a really impressive driver from Chris, a driver who's to now hasn't featured right at the sharp end of the field, but today doing a really, really good job. Still fastest lap of the race held by Daniel Morad. That's 2 minutes, 0.195. But really, it's all about positions and points at this stage. And the big question at the end of 20 laps, Anthony Liu has indeed moved up a position. He's moved ahead of Bian Yi in the Lamborghini, number 6 Lamborghini, so he's up to 7th, but he may be able to catch Kunfan Ran. In fact, on the last lap, he fairly much matched him for pace, but maybe 6th will be as far as he can get. And 6th place offers you 8 points, but it's going to be 25 points for a win for Bob Yuan and Leo Yi Hong Lee. 15 minutes or so still to go. Dear, we're going to have a very, very tight one of the Ferraris. That's the number 77 car that went very, very well yesterday. That's just outside the top 10. YN Chen taking a look at one of the cars that's not eligible for points, the 321 EBM Porsche. Scraps everywhere. That's Wei Lu, Chris Cheer, end of the back straight. Kunfan Ruan, Anthony Liu catching the BMW. And yeah, may yet gain another position, but once he gets past Kunfan Ruan into 6th, Chris Cheer is surely too far ahead. It's another 6 seconds up the track. They'll be as far as Anthony Liu can go, but it will have them wondering if they'd changed chassis earlier in the year, not had to sort of nurse a problem that caused them so many issues. God, face full of dust there, and Prince Abu Bakr Ibrahim just went too deep. It's so tempting to press deep into turn 16, ran through the gravel, lost a couple of positions. So as it stands in terms of points right now, with Bob Yuan leading the race, the number 87 Porsche is on 138 points, and sitting in 4th place, it's suddenly 129 points for Wei Lu, and in 7th place Anthony Liu also on 129 points. So really the question surely is, who's going to finish 2nd in the championship? The race leading 87 Porsche, Bob Yuan at the wheel, surely 13 minutes on the clock, he's heading for victory and the title. But it's going very, very nicely indeed for a lot of the runners, but not for Porsche Center Okazaki. Already was a problem and a punishment for car number 14 for a 5-second time penalty certainty, but the problem was far worse for Porsche and Sensor Okazaki. They got the dud end of that deal. The nose of their Porsche clipped as they left their pit stop, and that has been parked in the garage. Bad way to end your season. Right, our race leader, Leo Yi-Hong Lee, sitting in the garage. Teammate Bob Yuan at the wheel. Bob, cool, calm and collected on the grid. Just sort of said, I'll take what comes, but taking victory would be fantastic to end their season. But if he does take victory, it comes with the title. The purple Porsche number 4, Wei Lu, 4th in the race. Tichao, Chris Cheer right on his tail, and the driver further back is Ruan's BMW, and then Anthony Liu still in 7th place. If he can gain another position, he'll take 2nd place in the championship. So at the moment, Wei Lu is in equal 2nd place, and then we can do some count back and compare results. But in fact, across the course of the season, a lot of the results have been very similar for the top crews. But if Anthony Liu can gain one more position, he'll move into 2nd place. Lauren Heinrich watching on as Wei Lu holds down 4th place. 4th place in the race equals 2nd in the championship, but I'd say that's in jeopardy. So the driver who came here with a 16-point championship lead could yet, in the final dozen minutes or so, drop down to 3rd position. But I really do feel so sad for him that yesterday, doing absolutely nothing wrong, he got clattered out of 6th place in the race, and that really, really hurts. And the driver who hit him, Audrey Canard, went and bowed low in front of him for a long time in abject apology, but that didn't give him 16 points back. His 16-point lead was evaporated and came into today's race 6 points in arrears. And so if it carries on as it is, there is no way that Wei Lu can win the title today if the sister car wins the race. Of course, if he suddenly falls to 2nd place, then it's a different matter. But not only has Bob Yuan taken the lead of the race, he's beginning to drop those 2 Mercedes behind him. They're fighting the whole time. It's still Wang Zhongwei in 2nd place in the number 22 Climax car from Ti Chao in the Craft Bambi Racing car. As the number 2 Audi just continues to drop down the order. It was charging up the order in the hands of Dylan Pereira, but right now it looks though Bob Yuan's got this one in the bag. An excellent run. And it really is such a good circuit for racing. There are so many places where if you get it slightly out of position, you may still be in position at the next corner. And turn 5, a lot of people make little moves, and then turn 12, if you get a good exit, turn 13, good exit from this one, you've got the run all the way down that long straight. You can see the 888 Mercedes trying to atone for that little slip up for Prince Abu Bakr Ibrahim, and he's just going down the inside of the EBM Porsche, so he's getting a position back. But our 2nd and 3rd Mercedes, they're in a race of their own. In the first half of the race, they were tied together like this. The second part, it's Zhongwei Wang resisting all the pressure from Ti Chao. And they are still lapping very quickly indeed. They're still not under threat from those behind. They're 13 seconds clear of Wei Lu, who's down in 4th place, but they're 3 seconds now down on Bob Yuan. So Bob Yuan just going out of shot, pulling clear. Great little scrap for 2nd place. Does nothing really to affect the championship, unless they happen to both have a moment and go off the circuit in the heat of their battle. And then suddenly Wei Lu, instead of picking up 12 points, would move up to 18 points for 2nd place rather than 12 for 4th. But ifs and buts and maybes. But right now Bob Yuan is just escaping in the lead of this race, looking very good indeed. Anthony Liu has still not quite caught the Team KRC BMW with Kunfan Ruan at the wheel. He really needs to do that to make sure he can get 2nd place in the championship, but the clock is counting down. 8 minutes and 45 seconds remain in this race, and he's still down there in 7th place. But still a remarkable drive to start a race with knowing you have 15 seconds extra at your pit stop. It's a steep mountain to climb. To get in the top 10 is a good result. The fact they're running 7th is a reflection of the newfound form for that number 1 Porsche. Just about coming in the background of your shot. Yes, you can, we look at the number 30 Mercedes in 3rd place, turn into and out of the hairpin at the background of the far end of that long back straight. You can see Anthony Liu, but he was still behind the BMW of Kunfan Ruan. So he's 7th, would like to get up to 6th, obviously like to gain a position or 2 more, but I think the clock is counting against him. I think the maximum he can gain is 1 more position 7th place offers 6 points. 6th place offers 8, so that could just give him enough points. And there's no way at the moment, surely, that Wei Lu can suddenly gain the 14 seconds to catch those two Mercedes holding down 2nd and 3rd position. And all along, the sister car is just escaping. Right now, will Setiawan Santoso's Aston Martin block Kun Fan Ruan into turn 1? No, he's too far ahead, but they will catch him. Turn 1, 2 and 3 come very close together. Anthony Liu has got the scent in his nose now, and it really is a question of which way Setiawan Santoso goes and how does Kun Fan Ruan, which way is he going to go? Because suddenly Anthony Liu should be able to have an option, but sometimes you're the second car past the car that you're lapping. You can either be provided a gift, and there, cutting the inside of the corner, and there we have an incident with Hirabon's number 500 Nissan just going around. That was a good little battle just at the tail of the top 10, and that's had a little bit of a clatter down the slope to turn 3, and it gets going. You can see bodywork damage now. Push can come to shove. Who did the shoving? I actually sense the 3-2-1 Porsche was given a shove by the 36 Audi tucked in behind as Frankie Cheng was making up his order, and the car that was 2 places ahead was Hirabon's Nissan, and that was the one that got hurt. But no seeming damage on the 36 Audi. That continues on its way, but what also continues on its way is the clock. The end of the Fanatec GT Asia series is almost upon us, and Bob Yuan 2.8 seconds clear of the battling Mercedes. It's Shanghai Wang and Ti Chao holding down 2nd and 3rd positions, but they're still way clear of Wei Lu's Porsche, 14 seconds to the good. Chris Cheer having his best run of the season by a huge margin, holding on to 5th place, and then Kun Fan Ruan still in sync ahead of Anthony Liu. That is the one, when I say still, as we speak, no longer, because the BMW has just lost out down the back straight to Anthony Liu. So 2 points more into the bag, potentially, and the championship permutations just continue to swing back and forth. Swinging back and forth, unfortunately there, oh dear, that was a car that was so strong yesterday, car number 41, and James Yu has been given a shovel around. Seems you get just outside the top 10, and that's where it gets busy. You can see, hit up the rear, the diffuser is not as it left the factory, and Hugh Bow just moved up a position. So the mathematicians, the statisticians at the moment, having to check their points every handful of second. And 3-2-1's been given a drive-through penalty. We saw that one clattering into the back of Hirabon. That was at turn 3, and then suddenly getting very busy. Another corner cut from Setiawan Santoso's Aston Martin, and Ben Porter flashes by in the number 51 Porsche. So gaining positions at the tail end of the field in the AM class. None of those actually heading to the AM podium. They were in 4th and 5th positions in class. Okay, I'll tell you what we'll do. Drive-through penalty, as I just mentioned, for 3-2-1 Porsche, the EBM car for causing a collision. We're into the final 5 minutes. The top 3, Bob Yuan, Zhongwei Wang and Ti Chao. So it's a Silver Am car ahead of 2 Pro-Am cars. Anthony Liu in 4th place. Chris Cheer likewise running in Pro-Am. And Anthony Liu, they're 4th, 5th and 6th after Kun Fan Ruan's BMW got pushed back down to 7th. But leading the AM class is the one that doesn't count for points. That was that bright pink Audi Hubo. We saw that in the heat of the battle a short while ago. So effective leader in that class is car number 40, which is Antares Au. He was a driver from Hong Kong who'd been hoping to race with Marcus Fingerlock. Marcus felt too unwell to race. I think he was racing in Thailand last weekend. So Antares dropped down to the AM class, racing on his own, and could pick up class victory. But really, it's about the title, what is coming. Car 3-2-1, under investigation for another incident. That was at turn 14. So we saw an incident at turn 3 that's earned the 3-2-1 EBM Porsche a drive-through, and now a moment with 41, which we saw a short while ago with James Yu with the clattered rear end. So hasn't been. And as I mentioned, that it's been awarded a second drive-through penalty, so that is a badge of shame, and you feel sorry for James Yu, who's another driver who was given a bit of a push. Getting close to the final lap, not quite yet, but Bob Yuan leading the race, and only now have we suddenly had a little bit of a change, because we'd had, here we are, we'd had the positions changing with Ti Chao having got ahead, and that's getting it all wrong in the most extraordinary place to lose it at turn 2, running wide at the top of the hill. Is there something wrong with that Mercedes? I think there might well be, because it's a little something. It's not just lost position, it's lost a lot of ground as well. So suddenly this battle I was convinced was going to run right the way to the end of the race. But they're second and third still in the race. Wait a moment, and Wei Lu should have come in the background of the shot, holding down 4th place. There is nothing Wei Lu can do in this race, unless his teammate Lauren Heinrich, good solid start, dropped down to 8th. I thought it looked plain and comfortable, but it was the combined speed of Liu Yihong Li and Bob Yuan, who's taken over the car that's leading the race, the 87 Porsche. They have done the lot in this race. Nothing this driver, Anthony Liu, can do anymore. He's got out, came out in about 10th position or so after the pit stops, after the extra 15 seconds at a standstill. He's worked his way up to 6th, but the next car is some distance up the road, 4 seconds or so don't expect him to catch. In fact, you can see the grouping. What's left on the clock? 2 minutes. Liu Yihong Li, no pressure there, barring mechanical failure. He's not sure. We've got 1 or 2 more laps, and I think he might have just swept past the flag, where the flag will be waved, in time for this lap and 1 more. I'll keep an eye out for that, because with laps taking around, cars at this point in the race are lapping at 2-minute 1, 2-minute 2 seconds lap. I think he went past about that margin, so it could be almost exact finishing time, or there may be 1 further lap. We'll keep an eye out for that. So, Bob Yuan pressing on, pressure off. Just do what you've done so far this race, drive immaculately. In Origin Motorsport, they came here already with the team's title in the bag, but the fact they had 2 of the 3 championship challenging cars, no wonder they landed that title. But here they've performed exceedingly well. There'll be all sorts of concerns still yesterday, the number 4 car being taken out of the race. But right now, Liu Yihong Li sitting in the pit garage. Yeah, almost victory for him, but Bob Yuan, his respectable teammate, is coming around. 44 seconds on the clock before the checkered flag could be proffered. No pressure, 5-6 seconds clear, and then number 88, Jeffrey Lee's had a little bit of a rotation with a helping hand, so no blame to Jeffrey Lee. Antari Zhao came and gave him a little bit of rub. They were fighting over 20th and 21st position. So turn 2, turn 3, suddenly getting busy, but down to the hairpin for the final time. Bob Yuan, or is it the final time? Oh, well, hold on. This could be a matter. I know it's foreshortening the effect. I really thought that Tichao was losing a lot of time. Could he have been caught by the 2 cars behind? And then suddenly, are we having an overtaking manoeuvre? Chris Cheer, bang on the nose. That is precision. New champion Bob Yuan takes the checkered flag. I was concerned he'd have to do another lap, but there has been a change of position behind. Looks so Chris Cheer has moved up into 5th place. So July to Origin Motorsport, but there could be a change. And Wei Lu, who's already lost the championship title, is he going to come around in 4th place? No, he's coming around in 5th place. So he's lost a couple of points there. And Anthony Liu suddenly right on the tail of rival Wei Lu. He was in 6th place, closing, catching. One thing for sure though, the champions for 2024 are Bob Yuan, who's on his slowdown lap now, his celebratory lap, and Liu Yihong Li in the pit garage at Origin Motorsport. They have absolutely nailed it. 2 great races for them, and it was a game of chess in so many ways, but it did come down in this championship right across the course of the season. Success penalties, win 1 race, and your next one is going to have a horribly slow pit stop. 15 seconds extra was too much to take back, but job done for the 87 crew. Top 10 have all taken, in fact almost down to 20th position now. We've taken the checkered flag. So many classes to consider, but really it was all about who's going to come out not just on top in this race, but on top in the championship. And the answer to that, it was Bob Yuan. There he is, the 87 Origin Motorsport Porsche, cruising around with the job done. I just got to double check, is 11th place going to be enough for Frankie Cheng and Adley Fong to take the silver title and also the China Cup? The points will be worked out as we go along. Liu Yi, happy, tired, job done. 12 races, long championship, and the pendulum really has swung one way and then the other. But it's about scoring consistently. That is what really has counted for the crews. And again, don't count anything till it's over. With that place change on the final lap, suddenly a few points taken away from Wei Lu, falling from 4th to 5th. But some good runs in the race. Number 22 Mercedes crew started from pole position, Ralph Aron, and went to 2nd place, by far their best position in the championships. So it's really good to see some great rewards there. And almost every car that started the race, bar poor old Porsche Zentor Okazaki getting clattered, they were out. But pretty much everybody else finished. We started with 32 cars. I think we finished with 29, so that's a very good showing. Well, what a season it's been. Let's take a look at the results at the end of the 2nd hour. We got through before the typhoon arrived. Hopefully it won't arrive. But Liu Yi Hongli started the race. Bob Yuan finished. They took victory, but more than that, they took the title as well. Zhong Weivang and Ralph Aron, excellent 2nd place in their Climax Racing Mercedes. Another Mercedes in 3rd place. Ti Chao and Daniel Morad, good reward for them. Fanatec Global Racing, Chris Cheer and Dorian Boccolanci moved up with a few laps to go, or the final lap actually, into 4th place ahead of the championship leader coming here to Shanghai. But only 5th place today for Wei Lu and Lauren Heinrich, just ahead of a driver who was desperate to try and retain his championship. Anthony Liu did not quite get there. 6th place today, hurt by the success penalty from yesterday's victory. 6th place, but no title. But it all belongs to Liu Yi Hongli and Bob Yuan, the championship winners and race winners today. So delight for them. Harmony Racing went on to win the silver class today, and a very good run for Jietong Liang and Wyan Chen to take 8th place overall. In the AM class, it was Yuhu and Bizhuang Zhu, Climax Racing in their Mercedes. So good day for Climax today. So they took the AM class victory. The title yesterday went in that class to David Chiptobian Toro. So he was just racing for fun today. 24th position, yeah, but the title was already in the bag. So yeah, just 3 cars not making it to the finish. Porsche Zentor Okazaki, the number 3 Mercedes of Elegant Racing, and Absolute Corsa that had its problem, was due to start from the outside of the front row, and it came in at the end of the 2nd formation lap, and that was that for their Ferrari. But here is the championship winner, Bob Yuan. Oh, it's a traffic jam just when you want to get to the podium. But here he is, and no doubt celebrating in the car. And that moment when you've won a title, when you came into this race 3rd in the championship, you knew you had a chance, but he said, I just sort of want to win the race. Well, he's won the race, and his teammate Liu Yi Hongli are the champions for 2024, and thoroughly deserved, may I say. A great season for them. And today, there it is. The job is done. Liu Yi's down there as it goes through the Victor's Arch. We are the best. Well, they really were today. Yeah, well, gosh, so many things can go wrong, but they kept it clean. They sort of kept it out front, and that was what they had to do. So plenty of celebration for Origin Motorsport, and commiserations for the sister crew, parked in the background, having finished 5th today. Wei Lu and his teammate this weekend, Lauren Heinrich, just couldn't do quite enough today after yesterday's disaster. The 0 points yesterday was not the helping hand they wanted to try and land the 2024 title. So thumbs up, happiness there, no doubt. And Wei Lu, good to see he's come in to join the celebrations. He's had a fantastic season, and you know, sometimes an incident happens, it's beyond your control. But today belongs to Bob Yuan, still with his helmet on, and Liu Yi Hongli. Everyone wants to take their photos. We want to hear what they're going to say, but he wants to climb on the roof, and quite rightly so. And will the masked man take his helmet off to show his face? Because I'm sure there's a big smile on board there. Plenty of cheer. There's a typhoon coming, and there's probably a celebratory party to add to that as well. Which will be the larger, we do not know. But for Origin Motorsport, and for Liu Yi Hongli and Bob Yuan, they went and did it. Well, to win the title, to win it on home ground as well, very special. And Climax Racing, also another Chinese team, just delivering here with that 2nd place. So for Ralph Aran and Wang Zhongwei, it's been just a fantastic race, and also a great race because they got to scrap all race long with the number 30 Craft Bamboo Racing, which just dropped back a little bit on that final lap. Something went awry, having only just moved up into 2nd place. But Daniel Morad and Tao Chi can very much enjoy that overall podium position. So lots of championship points need to be totted up, but there's no doubting that we have outright victory in the race, outright victory in the championship. They'd already wrapped up the Silver Am class for Bob Yuan and Liu Yihongli. So let's go down and hear from our championship winners. Their names one more time: Bob Yuan and Liu Yihongli, and they're going to be smiling.
What a fantastic story. We have the winners here. You did not only win, you also win the jackpot. You're the champions. Congratulations, you did it. How do you feel? It must be beautiful.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, right now I feel happy because this weekend, today, my family come to support me. So I feel like my energy is like unbelievable. So when I get the car from the Leo, he did a mega job. Yeah, I just take easy to overtake 2 cars, then get the champion. So also the overall champion. I feel so happy for the Leo, for me, or for the car. Sorry, for the 87, also for the team. So yeah.
Congratulations again and celebrate well. Leo, you did a fantastic job. It's like a déjà vu from 2019, but it came with the championship as well. Blast your feelings out here, please.
The first time I did this series was 2019. No, sorry, 2017. 17. It was in the rain and it was storming. So just like today, it's going to be a storm anyway. It was really good experience, really good memory for me. And the second time was with Bob, 19. We won overall. Sorry, we won the Shanghai Grand Prix. Yeah, we won overall champion P1. And today was I've been dreaming about this the whole night last night. I couldn't get to sleep, and I can't believe I made it. After the start, I thought I fucked it. So, but we made pretty good comeback, and I'm happy for my team and my teammate. He did a really good job, and hopefully we can celebrate, we can rest tonight.
I guess you cannot sleep tonight because of the celebration, I guess. Let's get some champagne popping then. Let's go to the podium. Congratulations again.
Thank you very much. Just a little apology there for a little bit of rich language, but in celebration, Liu Yihongli deserving of plenty of applause. Absolutely brilliant run in the first part of the race when he managed to pick off. Let's take a look at the start and see how it all happened. We were missing Finn Gersitz from the outside the front row, but a brilliant start by Ralph Aron from pole position, putting the Climax Racing Mercedes into the lead of the race. Daniel Morad pushing as well. Now look for the yellow and red Porsche. Up the inside it goes of Liu Yihongli, up the inside of Daniel Morad. So 4th to 2nd was exactly what Alessio Picariello was hoping and dreaming of doing. It took several corners to complete the move. Then he tucked on the tail. It was looking as though these 2 cars would escape, Ralph Aron and Alessio Picariello, but Danny Morad had other ideas. He got in the mix, started hunting, and would eventually pick off Alessio Picariello. Li Hongli would go through, and then Maxi Goetz got on his tail. Then it came to be the time of the pit stops, and Alessio Picariello knew his car was going to stop for an extra 15 seconds. That's a penalty for winning yesterday's race, and while he came in from 4th place, he did not go back out in 4th place. The car was handed in to Anthony Liu. This was a little bit of a clatter. Porsche entered centre, Okazaki being caught out, but here's Anthony Liu coming out just around 10th position, maybe slightly below. He would work his way up the order, but the championship surely was going away. But then, of course, Bob Yuan came out in 3rd. He's up to 2nd in the race at this point. Now the championship leader, and he dives up the inside of Wang Zhongwei through to take the lead of the race. And at this point, that put him in an unassailable championship lead. All he had to do was take it to the finish, but that was proving troubles for some. And unfortunately, the 3-2 on EBM Porsche, a visitor this weekend, not eligible for points, causing enough damage with 2 moments to get 2 drive-through penalties. The battle for 2nd place raged the whole way to the finish. There was a change of positions. Tauchi just got ahead, and a lap later suddenly had a problem up at turn 2 and lost position. There he is, running a little bit wide, having just got into 2nd position, and on the final lap of the race really lost quite a lot of time, so I think he picked up a little bit of damage there. But at that point, Bob Yuan had streaked clear. He'd go on to win the race by over 5 seconds. To just grab everything, the China Cup title, the overall title, and the victory on home ground title. That's a special one here in Shanghai. So congratulations to the pair, Liu Yihongli celebrating the Origin Motorsport Garage, and Bob Yuan under the victor's arch, and you could hear how much they loved it. Looking out across Jiading to the north of Shanghai, and here are the championship positions at the end, the final standings for the 2024 season. 138 points to Bob Yuan and Liu Yihongli. Second place right at the end there, Anthony Liu and Alessio Picariello. Of course, Anthony was last year's champion. Moving ahead of Wei Lu into second, and the top three crews. Their order was shuffled this weekend, but going to the top, Bobby Wan and Liu Yi Hong Li. So congratulations to them. They are the 2024 Fanatec GT World Challenge Asia, powered by AWS champions. It's a mouthful, but they really took a big bite of that. And Frankie Jungfu Cheng and Adderley Fong, they've won another title. They've got the Silver Cup title. I thought they were going to take the China Cup title, but I do believe this duo has just taken it away. Still trying to work out the points as I speak.
Place, car number 30, Zhao Daniel Morad.
So out onto the podium, there's Daniel Morad and Tao Chi. Well, they worked hard for that one. It's really ended their season very well for Craft Bamboo Racing. Third place today. And the second place crew, Ralph Arod, who started from pole, did not put a wheel wrong for Climax Racing, and Wang Zhongwei, second place. But their champions, their victors today, is Bobby Wan and Liu Yi Hong Li with their children. The release of pressure, the joy, thoroughly deserved. Started fourth on the grid, but they kept their cool. They gained the places when required, and victory meant the title for them. And Matteo Braga, who's the racing manager of Pirelli, out to present the trophies for today's race, but also the championship trophy will be coming to the crew on the top step as well. So just to reiterate, third place today to the number 30 Craft Bamboo Mercedes crew of Tao Chi and Daniel Morad. They're on the right-hand side of the podium. Second place to the number 22 Climax Racing Mercedes of Ralph Aron, who started from pole, and Wang Zhongwei. And the top step, victors and outright champions, Liu Yi Hong Li and Bob Yuan, here on home ground. An absolute delight for Origin Motorsport. So photos of the top three in the final race of the season, including the season's champions up on the top step. And there it is, a Porsche ahead of a pair of Mercedes here. Still bright blue skies, still cloud, but the typhoon is apparently approaching. Many flights in and out of here are being delayed, but right now no one's going to leave the circuit unless they've been to the Origin Motorsport party, so it is party time. And the victor's music rings out. Still many more celebrations to come, many more podium ceremonies, and the mathematicians still working out the points. I have heard that Frankie Cheng and Adderley Fong have actually managed to claim the China Cup title. I thought this duo, with my fairly poor maths, had just moved ahead at the kill, but there had been a margin of 11 points that were apparently protected. But we've still got more podiums to come, but a lot of happy faces up there. Daniel Brad clipping the front of the camera, but victory today to Bob Yuan and Liu Yi Hong Li. Victory in the race and outright victory in the championship. They worked hard, and it was not just speed this year, it was speed and consistency that absolutely paid. Keeping out of trouble as well, and still a bit of a thought for their teammates yesterday when Wei Lu was looking well set. He came here with a points advantage, but unfortunate incident took him out of the race and gave him a 0 score, and that hurt. So next podium ceremony, and it's the Pro-Am order. So the crew in third, Chris Cheer and Doran Boccolacci. Second place, the 30 crew, who finished third overall. We're just seeing Tao Chi and Daniel Morad. And it was number 22, the Climax Racing duo, second overall, and they also won the Pro-Am class. So that's Wang Zhongwei and Ralph Aron, so double celebration for them. It's been a busy couple of days here. The cars were delayed by a typhoon, got here a day late, so a lot of the crews lost running, and a lot of the crews hadn't been here since 2019. And I guess the Chinese drivers maybe gained a bit of an advantage because they've been racing here, but for a lot of the crews, they settled down. At least it was the final round of the championship. They knew their cars, and the racing has been exceptionally good. It's great to be back here at the Shanghai International Circuit. So this is the Pro-Am podium. We have more podia to follow, but a feeling of the end of term celebrations and some of the teams coming good, but eventually when you look across the course of the season, Origin Motorsport doing a stunning job with their Porsches, and Absolute Racing also right in that title mix until the final few laps. But we've enjoyed this season. But just remember, this year's championship, it's Liu Yi, Hong Li and Bob Yuan, they are the winners for 2024. So the drivers don't want to lead the podium, but they need to make way, because we've got the silver podium to come and the AM podium coming up shortly. The Pro-Am guys, and particularly Ralph Aron on that top step. That pole position was excellent yesterday, and it really was the sort of building stone of winning the Pro-Am class, and second overall, so very much ending the season on the high for Climax Racing. So he and Tauchi stepping off to make way for the next celebrations. The final round was brought forward by 90 minutes because a typhoon is en route coming up from the southeast, due to hit at some point. But let's take a look at the Pro-Am Drivers' Championship. A consolation, if you will, for Anthony Liu and Alessio Picariello. Second in the overall championship. They gave their all, but they did land this title from Wei Lu. And then in third place, not in the championship reckoning here at the final round, but a good season for Bian Yi and Eduardo Liberati in their VSR Lamborghini. Prince Abubakar Ibrahim had his slight problems today. He ended that title battle in fourth in the Pro-Am class. But here we have the crews coming up for the Silver Cup, and the 911 crew for Absolute Racing, Ishan Piris and Tanat Satyan Thirikul, third today. Second, Frankie Cheng and Adali Fong in their Audi, and winning the Silver Cup class today. Excellent run for Harmony Racing with their Ferrari. That's Waian Chen and Jiatong Liang. So great to have all these different manufacturers getting a visit to the podium. But a Ferrari victory today, and they had a really strong run yesterday as well, easily within the middle of the top 10. So Matteo Braga, racing manager Pirelli, out again to present some trophies, ones to put on the shelf and to consider how you can improve upon them for the following year. But one of the many features of Fanatec GT racing around the world is the class structure that gives many people a chance to have their own battle within the overall war, if you can. And the silver class are very important, because of course if you're in a Pro-Am class you've got a top pro driver with an AM, but the all silver crews can often really match them very nicely on pace across the course of a race. And the fact that the top silver class car wasn't as high as normal today. It was actually in 9th place overall, the number 77 crew, and there they are atop the podium. But yesterday the top silver class car was in 5th position overall. But at the end of 2024, this is the final silver podium. But the silver class title went to the crew closest to us, the 36 Audi crew, with an excellent season. They won the first race outright, Frankie Cheng Zhongfu and Adali Fong, and they know how to celebrate. And as they leave the podium, expecting the AM podium to come out soon, but it's a busy day on the track. Already cars are starting to go out to have their little shot onto the circuit here at Shanghai International Circuit. But in the silver category, winning by 19 points after a brilliant season, Frankie Cheng and Adali Fong. Ishan Piris and Tanat Satyan Thirikul got in the wars a little bit yesterday, but they're good for second in the championship. Still ahead of Akash Nandi and James Yu. Saw them being tipped out and damaged in the race today, but they were right at the sharp end of the field yesterday. But a great season for Frankie Cheng and Adali Fong, clear champions in the Silver Cup class. So it does also prove that silver class drivers, when combined in the silver class, can win races, but consistently at the front end of the field for them. So this is the Silver AM class, car number 500, the crew that drive the Nissan. That's Hirobon and Yu Kanemaru, third in the class today. 89 in the Silver AM class was the BMW crew from Team KRC, which is Ran Kunfan and Maxime Houston, and the winners, the 87 crew. Yes, they win everything. So it's Li Hong Li, overall victors, overall champions, and also winning the Silver Am class. And out to present the trophies is Ida Masahiko, the founder of Dixel, strong supporters of Fanatec GT racing in Asia. So, gosh, it really is a cluster of podium celebrations for Bob Yuan and Li Hong Li taking their victory. Feel slightly sorry for Hirobon and Yu Kanemaru today, being spun out of the race, but still third position in the Silver Am class. And in second place, it's lonely being the only BMW in the race, but the tall figure of Maxime Houston doing a really solid job with Kunfan Ruan.
Fantastic racing, congratulations. Let's get together for a photo.
So 8th place overall for the BMW crew, but second in the Silver Am class, but outright winners in the race, and top of the Silver Am class, Li Hong Li and Bob Yuan.
Another one with the media at the wall, please.
So one more podium celebration to go, which will be for the AM class. And they will, Silver Am runners leaving the podium now. So it is champagne time. Thank you, Amy Ozawa, getting the words into the ears of the crews out there. The victory music rains on, the champagne rains down. And all the assembled cars down below looking fantastic. It's still sunny, but the wind is beginning to pick up a little more strongly around the Shanghai International Circuit. Good job to get the race done before the impending storm. Plenty of celebration, and let's show you some more points. That this is the China Cup, and by not the biggest margin in the world, one solo point at the end. One solo's point was enough for Frankie Cheng and Adley Fong to beat Bob Yuan and Li Hong Li to get the China Cup title. Third place went to Liang Jietong, the Ferrari racer, who's had a really good end to his season. But China Cup champions by the smallest of margins, Silver Cup champions as well. It's been a great season for Frankie Cheng and Adley Fong. But they must have been doing the maths as their car was circulating with Li Hong Li and Bob Yuan rising from third to second to first outright, but it was just enough for them to hang on and take the China Cup title. So 12 races, and it can come down to tiny fractions of a second, and just 1 point in. That is how close it is. You need to be good at your maths, but
52, Lili Chao, Ming Heng.
so first driver out on the podium racing solo because his teammate was not well. Is Antares Zhao, joined the championship this weekend. He was racing one of two Audi Sport Asia Team Absolute entries. Second place was the number 52 from crew from Climax Racing, Lili Chao and Min Heng. Climax Racing having a fabulous end to the season. And on to the top step,
And now we gladly invite
car number 66, Hu Bishwang and Hu Yuqi. And out comes Ida Masahiko, the founder of Dixel, to present the trophies. And this is in the AM category. Quite rare to see an AM podium without David Chipto Birantori, but he won the championship yesterday. That was all he needed to do, and he and Christian Colombo just outside the top three. So no podium for them here today at the final race at the Shanghai International Circuit. That brings our 2024 season to a close. It is the championship showdown, or it was the championship showdown, because it's all over. But there, Climax Racing, second in the race overall, but there's one of the sister cars winning the AM class here today.
another photo with the media at the wall, please.
Plenty of laughter ringing out down from below, plenty of celebration.
Okay.
And for the drivers who raced on their own, special congratulations. So Antar is out. He has done it. And that is it for 2024. Fanatec GT Asia has come to a conclusion. It's been a dramatic end to the season. We've loved every second. Join us again next year.